What makes a deck high skill? For most players, it is the deck they play. But objectively, a high skill deck is one that takes a long time to learn and rewards the player for learning it. Today, we are going to go through the 5 hardest decks in Clash Royale. And at the end, we are going to pick one of them as the absolute hardest. Let's go. First, let's look at 2.9 Mortar cycle. This deck runs Mortar, Knight, Archers, Skeletons, Ice Spirit, Rocket, Tornado, and Log. It's a siege deck that's way more defensive and technical than most people think. Mortar is a siege card, which already makes it tricky because you're trying to lock onto their tower from your side of the arena. But here's the catch. Mortar has a blind spot. Get too close and it can't hit you, so you're constantly managing distance, using Tornado to pull units out of Mortar range or to activate your King Tower. The positioning needs to be exact. Place Mortar one tile wrong and suddenly their troops walk right up to it. The hardest part? King Tower activations. This deck lives and dies by getting that King Tower online. You're using Tornado to pull Hog Riders, Graveyard, Goblin Barrel, basically anything to your king. One good activation can swing the whole match. But mess up the timing or placement and you just took a bunch of free damage. You need frame perfect timing. Then there's defending. You've got Knight and Archers doing most of the work, cycling Ice Spirit and Skeletons to buy time. Against beatdown decks, you're basically spell cycling with Rocket in double elixir because getting a Mortar lock is impossible. You need to track their cycle, know when they have their tank, and be ready to rocket their push or tower. Sometimes you're rocketing their tower for 300 damage at a time for 4 minutes straight. It's exhausting. The Tornado mechanic adds another layer you have to master. Every pull needs to be frame perfect or you're getting wrecked. Against Balloon, you're pulling it to King. Against Graveyard, same thing. Against Beatdown, you're pulling their support troops together for your rocket to take out. Against Bridge Spam, you're pulling their Battle Ram or Ram Rider. Each situation needs a different Tornado angle and timing. Learning when to play offensive versus defensive is huge too. Sometimes you can get Mortar locks early game. Other times you're defending for 3 minutes straight and only going for chip damage with Rocket. Reading the matchup and adapting your playstyle is critical. Against another cycle deck, you might actually be able to pressure. Against Golem, you're turtling the entire game. This is exactly why it's one of the top 5 hardest decks. It has a massive learning curve. Will it be the hardest one though? We will see. Next up, we've got Classic Log Bait. The traditional setup runs Goblin Barrel, Princess, Knight, Goblin Gang, Ice Spirit, Inferno Tower, Rocket, and the Log. This deck's been around forever, and it's still one of the highest skill decks in the game. The whole concept is in the name. You're baiting out their spell. Princess on the bridge forces them to use Log or arrows. Then you send Goblin Barrel, and it connects because they already used their counter. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. Good players will hold their log. They'll let Princess get chip damage and wait for your barrel. So you need to bait twice, sometimes 3 times, before getting a clean connection. What makes this deck brutal is the constant decision making. Every single card placement is a decision. Do you pressure with barrel now or wait? Is there log in cycle? Can you afford to use your own log on defense, or do you need it for their Goblin Barrel? Do you rocket their pump or save it for their tower? There's no autopilot with this deck. Every move needs to be calculated. The defense is incredibly tight. You've got Knight and Goblin Gang for ground troops, Inferno Tower for tanks, and that's basically it. Against a Golem push, you're placing Inferno Tower, using Knight to tank support troops, cycling Ice Spirit to buy time. One misplaced Inferno Tower and it gets zapped or Electro Wizard. One bad Knight placement and their support troops shred your tower. The margin for error is tiny. Rocket cycling is a whole skill in itself. Sometimes you're not winning with Goblin Barrel. Their defense is too good, so you start rocketing their tower. 6 elixir for 400 damage. You need to land like 6 or 7 rockets to take a tower. That means defending perfectly while being down elixir every time you rocket. It's exhausting. Then there's predicting Goblin Barrel placements. You can't just throw it at the same spot every time. You're mixing it up constantly and tracking what they expect. And against another log bait deck, now you're both trying to bait each other out. It becomes this insane mind game where whoever makes the first mistake loses. The offensive pressure never stops either. You're constantly applying chip with Princess, threatening barrel, using Knight to tank. Even when you're defending, you're thinking about the counter push. Surviving troops from defense become your next push. It's this constant back and forth where one slip costs you the game. Alright, now we've got the classic 2.6 Hog Cycle. This deck has been around forever, and people still argue about whether it's actually high skill or not. It's got Hog Rider as your win condition, Musketeer, Cannon, Ice Golem, Ice Spirit, Skeletons, Fireball, and Log. Everything's super cheap, which means you can cycle back to your cards crazy fast. What makes it hard? Well, you're defending massive pushes with cards that cost like 1 or 2 elixir. You've got no heavy tank, no big spell to bail you out. Against a Golem or Electro Giant, you're placing that cannon in the perfect 4-3 plant, kiting with Ice Golem, and hoping your Musketeer doesn't get spelled. One wrong placement, and your tower's gone. The margin for error is basically 0. The skill comes from knowing following your opponent's cycle better than they do, outcycling their counters, and squeezing every last bit of value from cards that die in like 2 hits. It's all about perfect timing and placement. Miss a cannon plant by 1 tile, that hog rider's hitting your tower. Ice golem kite at the wrong angle, their P.E.K.K.A. walks straight to your tower instead of following the ice golem. Every single card needs to be placed correctly. You're defending with cheap cards, sending hog when they're low on elixir, fireball cycling if you need to. Once you learn the placements and get the muscle memory down, there's a rhythm to it. The pattern's similar in most matchups. Defend efficiently, punish when they're down on elixir, apply constant pressure. But executing that pattern perfectly is the challenge. The cannon placements alone take weeks to learn. 4-3 plant for hog rider, anti-lightning placement for beatdown, defensive cannon to pull troops. Each placement serves a different purpose, and you need to know which one to use when. Same with ice golem kiting. You're pulling mega knights, P.E.K.K.A.s, princes, all with different kite timings. Musketeer positioning is critical too. Too far back and she gets killed with tower damage. Too far forward and she gets attacked. You need her to survive to counterpush, so you're constantly thinking about spell value. Against fireball bait, you're spacing your musketeer and cannon so they can't get both. Again, there's a lot of stuff to be learned. This makes it a high skill deck. Will it be the most high skill though? We will see. Moving on, we've got 3.0 Expo cycle. This one's got Expo, Knight, Archers, Skeletons, Ice Spirit, Tesla, Fireball, and Log. It's another siege deck, but Expo is way more committal than Mortar. Expo costs 6 elixir. That's huge. Every time you drop it, you're making a statement. And if your opponent has Royal Giant, Golem, or Electro Giant, they can just drop it on your Expo for a neutral or positive trade, and then you're dealing with a massive counter push with half your elixir gone. The risk reward on every Expo placement is insane. You need to know their deck, their cycle, and their elixir count before committing. The skill here is outcycling. You drop Expo, they counter it. Then you cycle Knight, Skeletons, Ice Spirit, and Archers to get back to another Expo before they cycle back to their counter. Sounds simple, but you're doing this while defending their pushes with the same cards you need to cycle. It's like juggling while running a marathon. You can't waste a single card. Every Ice Spirit needs to get value. Every Skeletons needs to distract something. Against bad matchups, you're playing for tie or spell cycling with Fireball and Log. You need to know exactly when you can afford to go offensive and when you need to turtle up. One bad Expo and you lose. One good defensive stand into Expo pressure and you win. The margin for error is razor thin. Some matchups are straight up unwinnable if they have the right deck, so you're grinding out draws by defending perfectly and spell cycling. Tesla placement, kiting with Knight and Ice Spirit, timing your Fireball to protect Expo from swarms. Every decision matters. Tesla needs to defend Expo. Knight needs to tank while you cycle. Ice Spirit needs to freeze key threats at the right moment. One mistimed Fireball and your Expo is gone. One bad Knight plant and their win condition breaks through. And in today's meta, with so many Expo counters, you are basically playing uphill most of the time. Royal Giant, Earthquake, Electro Giant, Rocket Cycle decks, they all counter Expo hard. You need to outplay them massively to even have a chance. The deck demands near perfection in every matchup. Against even matchups, it's a skill test. Against bad matchups, you're fighting for your life just to draw. Last one to look at is Miner Poison Control. The classic version runs Miner, Poison, Knight, Musketeer, Ice Spirit, Skeletons, Inferno Tower, and Log. Here's the thing with Miner, it does almost no damage to towers. The Crown Tower damage reduction means he only deals 25% of his normal damage. We're talking like 40 to 50 damage per connection depending on level. This means about 50 miners to actually take a tower. Think about that. That's 40 to 50 separate times you need to send a 3 elixir card to their tower, and if they counter it even half the time, you're not winning. This deck has no burst damage, no scary push, no moment where your opponent goes, oh no, I'm in trouble. You are just chipping. Miner on tower, poison on their troops, defend everything perfectly, repeat for 4 minutes straight. One mistake on defense, and suddenly you're down 800 HP, but you've only done 300 to them. You can't afford to take damage because you can't get it back fast enough. You need perfect miner placements, mixing it up every single time so they can't predict. If you get predictable with your miner, they'll just pre-place counters, and your win condition gets shut down completely. You're constantly thinking about their cycle. You need frame-perfect troop placements on defense because you have no room for error. Miss that knight placement against their push, and you're taking tower damage you can't afford. Musketeer gets fireballed, that's a huge loss because now you have no ranged DPS. Inferno gets zapped or distracted, their tank gets through and you are losing the game. Every defensive sequence needs to be executed flawlessly. Then there's elixir management. You're constantly at 8 or 9 elixir, trying to apply pressure while staying ready to defend. Drop too low and they punish. Stay too high and you're wasting elixir. It's this constant balance that never stops. You need to be applying chip pressure with miner while also having enough elixir elixir to defend their counter push. It's exhausting to maintain for a whole match. Matchup knowledge is everything. Against spell bait, you need to know which spell to use where. Do you log the Goblin Gang or save it for barrel? Do you poison their princess or wait for a better opportunity? Against beatdown, you're defending with Inferno Tower and trying to punish opposite lane while they're committing. Against other cycle decks, it's a pure skill check on who defends better and chips more efficiently. Every matchup requires a completely different game plan. Alright, so we've looked at 5 insane decks. Logbait with its spell baiting and mind games. Mortar cycle with king activations and tornado pools. Hog cycle with pixel perfect placements. X-bow with brutal commitment and outcycling, and Minor Poison with its pathetic damage output. Here's my pick. Minor Poison Control is the hardest deck in Clash Royale. Why? Because every other deck on this list has some kind of win condition that can steal you games. Logbait can get a surprise Goblin Barrel through for massive damage or Rocket Cycle for the win. X-bow can break true if they don't have an answer in cycle. Hog can sneak hits when they're low on elixir. Mortar can chip from range safely. Minor does nothing. You need to execute perfectly for the entire match, land your win condition 40 to 50 times, and defend everything they throw at you without losing more HP than you can chip back. There's no comeback mechanic, no lucky hit, no spell cycle that saves you at the end. You can't just defend and rocket cycle. You can't get a breakthrough connection that wins you the game. Every single point of damage has to be earned through perfect chip damage. The deck demands mastery of every single mechanic in the game. Placement, timing, elixir counting, prediction, adaptation, matchup knowledge. And after all that perfect gameplay, you still might lose because you missed 2 minor connections or took 1 bad trade on defense. The win condition is so weak that any mistake gets amplified. Other decks can recover from mistakes. Minor Poison can't. That's it. Minor Poison Control is the hardest. If you can master this deck, you can play anything in Clash Royale.